You are standing in the freezer aisle holding a tub that costs €6. The front shows a photograph of dense, golden, creamy ice cream. It looks like something that was churned slowly with real cream and real ingredients by someone who cared about the result. You put it in the trolley without reading the back, because you have bought it before, and it tasted fine. Fine is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Because what the food industry learned a long time ago is that fine is good enough. Fine keeps you buying. Fine does not require them to use the ingredients that made the ice cream you remember from childhood. The one your grandmother kept in the chest freezer and only brought out on special occasions. The one that was so dense it barely dripped in summer heat. The one that tasted like actual cream because it was made with actual cream. That ice cream is still being made, but most of what fills the European freezer aisle is not that. 10 of the most recognized ice cream brands sold across Europe were analyzed for their ingredient panels, overrun percentages, additive profiles, and the gap between what the packaging communicates and what is actually inside the container. We are going through all 10 from disappointing to genuinely deceptive, and finishing with 3 brands that are still making the real thing. Stay with this all the way through, because the brand at number 1 on the avoid list is the one most European families are putting in their trolley right now, and what is behind that label is the most important thing on this entire list. Before we get to the brands, there is one fact the ice cream industry does not advertise, because it is the most profitable thing they do, and the least visible to the consumer. It is called overrun. Overrun is the percentage of air pumped into ice cream during the churning process. At 100% overrun, for every liter of dairy base the manufacturer starts with, they produce 2 liters of finished product. The second liter costs them almost nothing because it is air. You are paying dairy prices for a product that is half air by volume. Premium ice cream operates at 25 to 30% overrun. The ice cream barely grows during churning because the recipe is dense with real fat and real cream that cannot absorb much air. Mass market ice cream approaches 100% overrun and sometimes exceeds it. The product shrinks visibly in the tub after a few days because the air is escaping. That is not a storage problem. That is the product revealing what it actually is. Now you know how to read the freezer aisle differently. Every brand that follows needs to be understood in light of this fact. Number 10. Wall's Soft Scoop Vanilla. Wall's has been in British and European freezer cabinets since 1922. The brand was recently transferred from Unilever to the Magnum ice cream company, following Unilever's 2024 decision to spin off its entire ice cream division and cut 7,500 jobs. What that corporate restructuring did not change is the formulation. Wall's Soft Scoop achieves its signature texture through a combination of high overrun and a stabilizer system that includes carrageenan, locust bean gum, and mono and diglycerides of fatty acids. Carrageenan is a seaweed-derived additive used to prevent ice crystal growth and maintain an appearance of creaminess even when the cream content is low. A 2024 study published in PLOS Medicine found that higher intakes of carrageenan were associated with higher risks of cancer. The European Food Safety Authority designated its acceptable daily intake as temporary in 2024 due to unresolved safety questions. The soft scoop texture is not a sign of quality churning. It is the result of an additive system designed to keep the product scoopable at freezer temperature without the fat content required to achieve that naturally. Wall's Soft Scoop is also classified as a frozen dairy dessert in some product lines, meaning it does not legally qualify as ice cream under European standards, because the dairy content falls below the threshold required for the designation. The heritage name and the century of brand recognition are doing work the recipe stopped doing years ago. Number 9. Carte d'Or Vanilla. Carte d'Or is the brand Unilever positioned as the premium choice for entertaining. The golden tub, the Rainforest Alliance certified vanilla, the QR code that invites you to discover the ingredient origin stories. The brand spends considerable effort communicating quality cues while the ingredient panel tells a quieter story. Carte d'Or vanilla ice cream contains reconstituted skimmed milk rather than fresh whole milk or cream as its primary base. Reconstituted skimmed milk is dried milk powder rehydrated with water, a cost reduction measure that replaces the fresh dairy that would be used in a recipe built for taste rather than logistics. The stabilizer system includes carrageenan, locust bean gum, and guar gum. The emulsifiers include E471, mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, which a 2023 study in the BMJ found to be associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease in a study of over 95,000 French adults, followed for a median of 7 years. The overrun on Carte d'Or approaches the mass market ceiling. A full tub feels noticeably lighter than its stated weight would suggest in a premium product. Carte d'Or is now part of the Magnum ice cream company, alongside Walls, Magnum, Ben & Jerry's, Cornetto, and Solero. One corporate entity controls all of them. The premium positioning of Carte d'Or over its sibling brands in the same portfolio is a marketing distinction, not an ingredient distinction. Number 8. Gelatelli Bourbon Vanilla. Gelatelli is the Little House brand ice cream line sold across Europe at a price point that positions it as an affordable everyday choice. It is honest about being a budget product in a way that makes its presence on this list more straightforward than the premium brands that follow. The ingredient panel includes glucose syrup as a primary sweetener alongside sugar. Glucose syrup is a processed starch derivative that behaves differently in the body than sucrose and is used in industrial ice cream production because it improves the freeze-thaw stability of the product and reduces the formation of large ice crystals during temperature fluctuations in cold chain logistics. Translated from industrial to plain language, it makes the ice cream more durable during a supply chain that does not treat every tub gently, at the cost of replacing real dairy sweetness with a cheaper processed alternative. The vanilla flavoring in Gelatelli is listed as natural vanilla flavoring, not vanilla bean or vanilla extract from identifiable pods. Natural vanilla flavoring can be derived from a range of sources and does not require the use of actual vanilla beans. The price is honest. What is less honest is the packaging, which carries photographs of vanilla pods and cream that imply a recipe connection to real vanilla that the ingredient panel does not support. Number 7. Mars Ice Cream Bar. Mars Ice Cream is the frozen version of the confectionery bar, produced under license from Mars Incorporated by the Magnum Ice Cream Company in Europe. The ice cream filling contains glucose syrup, skimmed milk powder, and vegetable fat, alongside cream, with mono and diglycerides of fatty acids and carrageenan listed as additives. The caramel layer contains glucose syrup, sweetened condensed skimmed milk, palm fat, and natural flavoring. The chocolate coating contains PGPR, polyglycerol polyricinoleate, which is an emulsifier derived from castor oil used to replace some of the cocoa butter in the chocolate coating and reduce production costs. The PGPR mechanism works by reducing the viscosity of the chocolate, so it can be applied in a thinner layer with less actual chocolate required per unit. You are buying a branded ice cream bar that charges a premium price associated with a confectionery product and receives a frozen dessert that contains vegetable fat, partially replacing dairy fat, a chocolate coating that contains a castor oil derivative replacing cocoa butter, and a caramel layer where glucose syrup leads before cream. The Mars name earns the premium. The recipe did not. Number 6. Nui Salted Caramel, an Australian macadamia. Nui C is positioned explicitly as a premium adult ice cream bar, launched to compete at the top of the single-serve category above Magnum. The price point is the highest in the standard supermarket freezer bar section in most European markets. The marketing is built around provenance. The macadamia nuts are from Australia. The caramel is salted. The packaging is matte black with gold lettering and suggests a craft product with rare ingredients. Nui is also owned by the Magnum Ice Cream Company, making it a fourth brand in the same portfolio, alongside Walls, Carte d'Or, Magnum, and Ben & Jerry's, all controlled by the same corporate parent. The ice cream core contains carrageenan, locust bean gum, and E471. The chocolate coating contains PGPR. The salted caramel sauce contains glucose syrup as a primary ingredient before cream. The Australian macadamia sourcing is real. Everything built around it is the same industrial ice cream formulation found in the less expensive bars in the same freezer. The premium is priced into the macadamia. The product underneath it is not premium. Number 5. Cornetto Classic. Cornetto is one of the most recognizable ice cream brands in the world. The cone, the chocolate base, the striped soft-serve center, the chocolate tip. It is a product that occupies a specific place in the memory of almost everyone who grew up in Europe. Summer, the sound of the van, the ritual of eating from the top to reach the chocolate at the bottom. That memory is the most valuable commercial asset the brand has. and it has been leveraged over decades to maintain brand loyalty through formulation decisions that the emotional association prevents most consumers from examining critically. Cornetto is owned by the Magnum Ice Cream Company. The ice cream filling is classified as a frozen dairy dessert in its current formulation in certain European markets, meaning it does not meet the dairy content threshold required to be labeled ice cream under European food standards. The cone is coated on the inside with a compound chocolate containing vegetable fat rather than cocoa butter. The soft serve center contains glucose-fructose syrup, skimmed milk powder, and vegetable fat alongside a stabilizer and emulsifier system that includes carrageenan, E471, and guar gum. The chocolate tip at the bottom of the cone is compound chocolate. You finish a cornetto having consumed 3 separate applications of compound chocolate, a frozen dairy dessert center that does not qualify as ice cream, and a cone coated in vegetable fat. The memory of eating cornetto as a child is real. The product that memory is attached to has been significantly reformulated since the version you remember. Number 4. Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's began as a genuine small-batch Vermont ice cream operation, founded by 2 friends who genuinely cared about ingredient quality, fair trade sourcing, and the kind of product that tastes like something made by people rather than a production line. That origin story is still on every pint. It is the most powerful marketing asset the brand has because it is true. What is also true is that Ben & Jerry's has been owned by Unilever, now the Magnum Ice Cream Company, for over 2 decades. The ingredient panel on Ben & Jerry's contains carrageenan and guar gum in a number of product lines. A 2024 study in PLOS Medicine found that higher intakes of carrageenan were specifically associated with higher cancer risk. The fair trade certification on the cocoa, sugar, and vanilla is real and meaningful. The carrageenan in the same product is the industrial formulation decision of a multinational parent company, not the founders. In July 2025, Ben & Jerry's formally separated from the Magnum Ice Cream Company following years of public disagreements over the brand's social activism commitments. As of 2026, the ownership structure and its implications for formulation decisions are still unresolved. The pint you are buying today was made under a corporate ownership structure the founders spent years publicly fighting against. The fair trade seal is real. Read the full ingredient panel before you decide what that tells you about the rest. Number 3. Raffaello Ice Cream. Raffaello is the ice cream version of the Ferrero coconut and almond confectionery. It is produced under license by the Magnum Ice Cream Company for the European market. The ice cream bar contains skimmed milk powder, vegetable fat, glucose syrup, modified starch, and carrageenan, alongside cream and coconut. The white chocolate coating contains vegetable fat and PGPR. The Raffaello name communicates the quality and heritage of the Ferrero confectionery range, which uses genuine dairy fat, real almond, and real coconut. The frozen version produced by the Magnum Ice Cream Company uses a formulation built around the same industrial cost structure as every other product in that portfolio. You are paying for the Ferrero name on a product whose recipe was designed by a different company using a different standard. The licensing arrangement means the Raffaello confectionery brand endorses the product visually, without Ferrero controlling what goes into it. That gap between the name on the front and the manufacturer responsible for the formulation is not disclosed anywhere the consumer can easily see it. Number 2. Magnum Classic. Magnum is the flagship brand of the Magnum Ice Cream Company, and the product most consumers in Europe associate with premium ice cream bars. The price is positioned at the top of the supermarket single-serve category. The marketing communicates Belgian chocolate, real cream, and a cracking chocolate experience that implies quality at every layer. The Magnum Classic ingredient panel reveals the actual picture. The ice cream core contains reconstituted skimmed milk, glucose-fructose syrup, coconut fat, and carrageenan, alongside cream. Reconstituted skimmed milk and coconut fat are cost reduction decisions. Fresh cream is listed, but appears after reconstituted skimmed milk and glucose syrup, meaning there is more processed dairy and processed sugar in the core than fresh cream. The stabilizer system includes carrageenan, locust bean gum, tara gum, and guar gum, 4 separate stabilizers working together to maintain a texture that the cream content alone would not produce. The chocolate coating is made with cocoa butter certified by Rainforest Alliance, which is real. It also contains E442, ammonium phosphatide, an emulsifier derived from rapeseed lecithin, used to control the flow properties of the chocolate during coating. The crack is real. Everything built to create the cream impression behind it is an engineered system. The Magnum Ice Cream Company, which now also owns Walls, Carte d'Or, Cornetto, Ben & Jerry's, Nui, and Solero, is the same parent behind every product on this list, from number 10 down to number 2. One company, 7 brands, one industrial formulation logic applied across all of them at different price points. Number 1, Haagen-Dazs. This is the one that should make you the most uncomfortable, because Haagen-Dazs built its entire global reputation on doing the opposite of everything this list has described, and for a significant period of time it actually delivered on that promise. The name was invented in a kitchen in the Bronx by Ruben Mattis in 1961. He coined a fake Danish-sounding name to communicate quality and simplicity in an era when American ice cream was already being diluted by additives and overrun. The original recipe was cream, milk, sugar, eggs, and flavor. Nothing else. That simplicity became the product. For decades, Haagen-Dazs was the honest answer to the question of what ice cream should taste like. Haagen-Dazs is now owned by General Mills, the American food conglomerate. In January 2026, Commission Regulation EU 2026/196 amended stabilizer specifications across the European ice cream category, affecting carrageenan and other additives used by brands operating in Europe. The European Haagen-Dazs formulation still uses carrageenan in certain product lines sold in European markets, a stabilizer whose acceptable daily intake was designated temporary by the European Food Safety Authority in 2024 due to unresolved safety questions. The brand's 5 range, 5 ingredients only, represents what Haagen-Dazs was supposed to be across its entire lineup. It is not. The regular Haagen-Dazs sold across most European markets contains carrageenan. The overrun is still lower than any mass-market competitor. The density is still real. But the ingredient panel of the brand that was built specifically to be different from the industry now contains the same contested additive found in Carte d'Or, Magnum, and Ben & Jerry's. The founder invented a fake name to signal authenticity. The current owner is using that authentic reputation to sell a product that no longer fully earns it. That is the gap that puts it at number 1 on this list. Not because it is the worst product here, but because it charged the highest price for the biggest promise, and allowed the industrial reality to quietly close that gap, while the premium reputation stayed exactly where it was. Now here are the 3 that are still making ice cream the way it is supposed to be made. Best option number 3, Jude's Ice Cream. Jude's is a British independent ice cream producer, founded in Hampshire, in 2010, by a farming family that controls the dairy supply chain from the cows to the finished product. The milk comes from their own herd. The cream is not reconstituted, not powdered, and not supplemented with vegetable fat. The ingredient panels across the Jude's range are short, typically under 10 items, and every ingredient is identifiable as a food without a chemistry reference. Jude's uses no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, and no carrageenan. The overrun is low because real cream at real fat percentages does not absorb much air. A 500 milliliter tub of Jude's is noticeably heavier than the same volume of a mass-market brand because the tub is full of ice cream rather than ice cream and air. Jude's is available at Waitrose, Sainsbury's, and independent retailers across the United Kingdom. The price is honest, because the cost of running a short supply chain with your own dairy is genuinely higher than routing skimmed milk powder and vegetable fat through an industrial blending operation. You are paying for what the packaging says you are getting. Best option number 2, Mövenpick. Mövenpick deserves this position specifically because it demonstrates that a larger commercial operation can maintain meaningful ingredient standards if the corporate parent chooses to prioritize them. Mövenpick was founded in Switzerland in 1948 and acquired by Nestlé in 2003, later managed through Froneri, a joint venture between Nestlé and PAI partners. Despite operating at industrial scale, Mövenpick has maintained a publicly stated commitment to no artificial additives, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, no mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, and no palm oil in its ice cream base. The company publishes this commitment on its FAQ page, and it is verifiable against the ingredient panels of their products. The overrun operates at approximately 20 to 30% using a patented slow-churning conchier technique developed specifically for the brand. That low overrun is not a marketing claim. It is physically verifiable by the density of the product. A Mövenpick tub is significantly denser than any Magnum ice cream company product at the same volume. The cream content is around 37% of the product base. For an ice cream available in mainstream European supermarkets, Mövenpick's ingredient commitments and its physical density make it the most accessible step up from industrial brands without requiring a specialty retailer. Best option number 1. Your local gelateria or artisan producer. This requires no label reading and no ingredient panel literacy. Walk into a gelateria where the product is made on site and ask a single question. What is in it? A gelato maker who can answer that question without hesitation, who can tell you which dairy they source from, which fruit they use, and why the product looks different from what came out of yesterday's batch, is offering you the only ice cream supply chain that has none of the incentive structure that produced every brand on the avoid list. No stabilizer budget, no overrun target, no procurement contract awarded to the lowest bidder, no quarterly margin conversation that ends with carrageenan replacing cream content. Real gelato made on site has a shelf life of days. It does not survive a 6-month cold chain because it was not designed to. It was designed to be eaten. The ice cream your grandmother kept in the chest freezer on special occasions did not come from a production facility optimizing for air content and additive efficiency. It came from somewhere close, made by someone whose reputation lived or died on how it tasted. That person still exists. They are harder to find than a supermarket freezer aisle. Finding them is the most useful thing you can do with everything this list just told you. Share this with everyone you know who reaches for a Magnum or a Cornetto without ever turning the package over. They have been paying a premium for a promise. Now they know what is actually behind it.